everyone, my name is Payanna and welcome to my channel, and I'm back doing another book review with The White Dragon by Anne McCaffrey. So I am slowly working my way through Anne McCaffrey's novels. This is the third novel in the Dragon Riders of PERN series. So this is a fantasy novel, one of the first, if not the first novel, to tell the story of a boy who befriends a dragon and creates a very intimate connection with this dragon. So in the Dragon Riders of PERN series, the Dragon Riders have telepathic connections with the dragons. With their dragons, they're all intimately linked with one dragon and they can communicate with them. Anne McCaffrey was, again, one of the first people, if not the first person, to put men on dragons' back, utilize them to protect an entire planet in this case. So they fight against life-sucking threads that fall from outer space, and she was the one who invented these like really strong bonds between humans and their dragons, which is why I'm so interested in this series. I'm really interested in like the origins of dragons in fantasy. I love dragons, and this series really served as like major inspiration for pretty much everything we have today. So yeah, so this is the third novel in the first trilogy. It focuses mostly on Jaxom, the Lord of Rotherhold, who is the one that Lessa gave over her titles to at the beginning of book one. The book starts with his birth, and Lessa, who should have inherited Rotherhold, being the last person in that bloodline, giving over her titles and status to Jaxom, who was only a newborn baby at this point, so that she could go and become the Dragon Lady. So now he's a teenage boy, and at the end of book 2, he helped a dragon out of his egg, this white dragon called Ruth. And this is a first because normally the dragon riders, they don't help the dragons out of their eggs. Like, either the dragons can sort themselves out and get out of their eggs on their own. If not, well, they're just not strong enough to live. So Ruth is completely white, also a lot smaller than the other dragons, but Jaxom felt sorry for this baby dragon and decided to take it on and look after it, which he technically wasn't supposed to do, being a Lord Holder and not technically a dragon rider. So completely breaking with tradition. And he also is on the receiving end of a lot of negativity because of this. Ruth is nicknamed a glorified fire lizard, not an actual dragon. He's also not trained along with the other dragon riders, which is quite amusing because all the stuff that they learn how to do, like maneuvering, fighting threads, they're getting their dragons to chew firestone so they can breathe flames. He doesn't get to learn all of this stuff, but he just goes and does it anyway. So in the end, they're like, okay, well, we better teach him how to do it, because otherwise he's just going to do it on his own and make a mess. So yeah. And despite all the kind of negativity that he has to deal with, he always has Ruth to hold on to. They have this really strong bond, this really positive connection between them. Jaxom threw his arms around Ruth's neck, burrowing his forehead against the smooth, spicy-smelling hide, concentrating on how very much he loved his Ruth, his most unusual Ruth, the only white dragon in all PERN. Yes, I am the only white dragon there has ever been on PERN, Ruth said encouragingly, moving his body so that he could gather Jaxom closer within the circle of his foreleg. I am the white dragon. You are my rider. We are together. Yes, Jaxom said, we are together. What I also really like about this series is, like, each novel does kind of focus on one character. Like, the first novel, Dragonflight, focuses a lot on Lessa and how she discovers that dragons can teleport through time and as well as through space. And you get like the whole, like, the workings of the where the dragons live and how they fight threads and what the traditions are and how it all works and how it's complicated because there aren't a lot of dragons left over. The thread falls like only happen every 400 years or so. So in like the time that goes by between those events, people kind of forget about this and go on living their lives, but the dragon holes like have to keep going. And she decides to go back into the past to collect the historical dragon riders, as it were, and bring them back to the present. And then there's a whole lot of drama concerning them, like how they have a really hard time adapting to life 400 years after their own time, which honestly I kind of understand. Like, it must be really hard for them, and I think they kind of deserve a bit more understanding, but whatever, there's like a lot of drama with them. They are kind of exiled to the southern continent where nobody lives. So like, yeah, okay, you go over there and sort yourselves out. And Book 2 Dragon Quest was very much more about like making discoveries, and like obviously time has gone by, and it really does focus on a group of characters. It was more about Fnor and Brecky and the like moving into the southern continent and getting dragons to work there, why the Threadfall doesn't affect it. Focusing on a group of characters rather than one specific character or two specific characters. And again, with the White Dragon, it again mostly focuses on Jaxom, but we have a lot more about Robinson, the Master Harper. And the great thing about focusing on a group of characters rather than a few specific characters is it really does give a lot more potential to kind of open up a world and really push the world building to new levels, like people have, because obviously everyone has a different point of view on things. I would have liked more about the old timers, like the old dragon riders who were teleported through time, who were brought through time to this world, because they do kick up a lot of fuss, but we don't really get their point of view on what they're going through, on like the stress and emotional damage it must be to kind of travel through time to this extent. And now they're not really needed anymore, because now there are plenty of dragons being bred in the Dragon Worlds, and they're pretty redundant, so they're just there on their southern continent. I also would have liked to find out more. There's a character called Lytol, who is Jaxom's tutor, and he is quite unique because he used to be a dragon rider, but his dragon died, and this normally shouldn't happen. Like when the dragon rider dies, normally the dragons die with them, but in this case, his dragon died before before it was his time, basically. So he has to go through life with the emotional damage of having lost his dragon, is like losing a whole part of himself, and this is really hard for them. It's something that the other characters acknowledge a lot, like whenever he has to ride another dragon or whenever he's around other dragons, there's always this kind of reverence served to him, like, okay, don't kind of mention specific subjects, or don't kind of go into dragons' relationships with riders and dragons too much when he's around, because it might be triggering for him. But again, I really would have liked to get more of his point of view, because he seems to like go through life with this very severe depression. He gets on with it anyway, he gets stuff done. But I really wanted more of his point of view and like what he thought about things. This book was incredibly slow, unlike the other two. Like, I was so excited about it. Like, that was a terrible thing. And I kind of started reading. I was so into it. I was so excited about it. And it is rather slow. And it's weird because like stuff happens in it, but not like, it's not written in a way that kind of makes it overly exciting. It's more like stuff happens and other characters kind of get to hear about it. Even Jaxom, who does end up being involved in a lot of these things, it kind of feels like the writing made it feel like he was there, but passively. So it's very, very odd. The tone, the consistency of it was very odd. There was a lot of extra stuff also that I felt was unnecessary, like a lot of dialogue, and a lot of dialogue going over things that we already knew about, like the mating process with the dragons. Like, they talk about that a lot in this book, and I was like, yeah, we kind of already know this, like from book one, like, okay, different set of dragons now. But it did really feel like we were going over the same subjects again, and I remember just skipping through a bunch of pages because I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. The dragons making pages and pages of all this dialogue. It really was more dialogue focused. So yeah, out of this trilogy, this was the book that I was the most excited about, and also the one I was a bit disappointed about because I really did struggle through it. So this first trilogy and the whole PERN series really did set the founding blocks for pretty much everything relating to dragons today in fantasy, especially the whole men riding dragons and utilizing them to defend countries and fight in wars like Aragon and Temeraire and such like. And I am going to continue working my way through Anne McCaffrey's writing. I have the Harper Hall series trilogy waiting, so Dragon Song, Dragon Singer, and Dragon Drums. I also have Nerilka's story and Moretta, Dragon Lady of PERN, Dragon's Dawn, and I have Restory, which is Anne McCaffrey's first ever novel. This is a sci-fi novel that she wrote as a protest to push back against the way that women were portrayed in fantasy novels in up until the 1960s. So interesting stuff to be read right there. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.